Jakub is very bad man.
It is very horrible.
If he's doing good to the children, he cannot do such kind things like that, you know.
He made us do really weird things with him. Really.
It's because it's not our culture, you're fried on that.
What he did here was really insane. That's awful, the way he treated them.
Real bad.
I don't want even to remember. It was a bad day for me.
What we found out here is honestly shocking. Right now, we are in Tanzania. For 14 days, we've been here filming an investigative documentary about Jakub Jahl, a man who was supposedly here to help the local children. But instead, what he left behind are destroyed lives, ruined centers, and dozens of stories full of pain.
We visited places where Jakub Jahl spent his time, and where, according to eyewitnesses, he did things that can only be called atrocities. We also talked to the children he himself promoted on social media. We are standing in the Nature and Skills Center, a place that used to help children long before Jakub Jahl ever came here. People like Teresa, Ramadan, Bob, and many others used to work here.
But today, all that's left are empty walls and shattered dreams. And according to witness testimonies, Jakub Jahl is the one behind their destruction. Now, you will hear these first accounts for yourselves. They are the stories of the people who worked here and of the children who still remember it all.
When Jakub showed up for the first time, he stayed here. At first, he seemed like a good guy, but then we started noticing some small things, and then we really saw what he was about.
I met Jakub when I was working in Nature and Skills. He told us he is here to help the center, to help the kids. So when we told him that we had the center, he told the others he's gonna help us.
Then he started getting involved in all sorts of shady stuff, and sometimes he'd act all wrong.
When I found out that the project he had been promoting, by then it had already been 2 years, was not a real project as it was supposed to be.
He didn't spend a lot of time with kids, but what he needed is all photos and videos. And within a time, you see on Facebook, he's already sending this one, he needs this one, he needs this. Even sometimes, even some things which we didn't ask.
He just needed to film some videos with children to get money from people.
So it was a trick for the money, which is collect to Czech Republic to help people. So it was a trick to destroy our community here in Tanzania. And when I asked him, he said, get the money from the stupid Muzungu in the Czech Republic. Jakub is like this, you know, here in Tanzania life is very tough. So he knows that. So he used that opportunity. Jakub will take a lot of photos and tells them he'll help them. But he didn't help them anything. I think you can see everywhere.
Then they took my kids aside without telling us anything and said they'd help us. But after a while, they just disappeared. I said, that guy has come again to scam me. They've come again to take money from Europe. I hate that. I really hate him. I really hate him.
She's not happy.
This woman, who literally broke down in tears when she spoke about Jahl, lives in a clay hut with 5 children. So, we're in the village where the first orphanage was. This is already our 3rd time here today, and we're asking people around if they know Jakub.
You know him, right?
He says yes.
Do you think he likes kids?
No.
Did you ever see him maybe take children aside? Did you ever see him take, like, boys aside somewhere private?
Yes, he was only picking boys.
And what did he do with them there?
He was with them. He took a bag and they went together. He took them inside. Usually, they weren't happy. The kids were quiet, didn't say much.
Were there times when he spent time alone with those boys?
Yes. He touched him here and here, all over.
Are you afraid of Jakub, or are you not afraid of him?
I'm afraid.
Why?
Why?
because he had bad behavior.
She didn't see direct that Jacob told them, but Jacob used most times to stay with them in that room, that one. That last room there is where he was staying there. And later on, when Abdul was at school, starting to show the bad behavior in school. After those time spending time with Jacob here, starting to show the bad behavior at school.
He was locking himself in this room with them. We know he locked himself in there with the kids.
This is the very room he would go into with Abdul or Exaudi. Lock the door, no one else was allowed in, and he'd be in there alone with them. It makes me, like, really, really sick. This is just awful. It's truly horrible.
I saw Juma, she's not good, because his appearance feels like he's very fearful kid.
How did you feel?
Very bad.
When I took them to the school where they are, they were showing that they were mistreated. Okay? They were mistreated because they are too young even to say what they have been, how they were treated and how the Jacob and whatever they were doing with them.
And even right now, we don't know even the kids where is. But all of this is because of Jacob.
What you just heard was just a small taste. You're about to find out more, because this is only the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come.
A white man named Jakub appeared, who had authority in the building. When this white man came, I was 10 years old. He said he would take me to school. The night dress I was wearing, it had short sleeves, and he ripped it. He had already torn it. This is a scar from that. He kept saying he wanted to marry me. So when I was running, it hurt badly. I was almost collapsing from the pain.
We thought things couldn't possibly get any worse after meeting that young girl. But we were wrong. What happened to this boy goes beyond all boundaries of humanity. There are things that no child should ever even think about, let alone experience.
So, this is him?
That's Jakub.
That's Jakub?
And how is it possible that this predator is studying to be a teacher today? Do we really want someone like that teaching children in a school one day?
Jahl is studying to be a teacher. And what about his accomplice, Martin Malundi Chicho? He's actually studying at a police academy. Tell me, is it right for someone who's been complicit in such atrocities for so long to get a job where he's supposed to protect public safety? And whose safety will that be?
After the release of the first documentary, Jahl started claiming that Alatra was spreading hoaxes about him, that those who spoke out were lying and barely had any experience with him. And a bit later, Jahl even began publicly bragging about filing criminal complaints and lawsuits. So now I'd like to ask Jakub directly again. Whom exactly do you want to sue, Jakub? Are you going to sue Teresa Bob or the children from the Nature and Skills Center? Or Stanley? Or are you going to go ahead and sue the head of the social welfare office in Moshi who gave us his official report on you? Or the village mayor, who also told us about the hell you put his people through? So whom? And more importantly, for what? For telling the truth about what they experienced with you?
In places where people live hand to mouth, where illness is more common than food, anyone coming from Europe becomes a sign of faith that something might finally change for the better. And Jahl exploited that in the worst possible way. He literally made money off human misery. But if it were only about the money, the worst part is what he did with it, and how many lives he destroyed instead of helping.
And now, we owe it to all of them to show this to the world, because after committing these atrocities, Jahl fled from Africa. So, friends, we're walking here now along this street, or I should say, this village, where Jakub spent most of his time. And whenever we show his picture, so many people here just know him, and hardly anyone. Actually, so far, I haven't heard a single person say a nice thing about him. The people here know about the atrocities he committed. This is the slum where Moses grew up, and where, according to Stanley, Jakub hid out for 6 months. This was his last known location in Tanzania, the place where he spent his time right before he fled the country. And Moses, who you see here walking with us, actually tried to catch him when he was escaping. They tried to get him at his hotel, tried to catch him as he fled to the airport, but unfortunately, they didn't manage to.
Do you know this guy? Yes, yes. He was here, yes?
Everybody know him, man.
We all know him.
The way we lived with him, from how he spoke to us, you can tell this guy was hiding something.
His bad side?
Yeah, because his intentions were bad.
And say, no one can do nothing to me. I got money, I got everything. And I got people behind me who supporting me. So means, in your country, it is some people behind him. They're supporting him to come to Tanzania to do those bad things. So please, what you do when you're back in your country, try to ask who was behind you. Who sent you there? Go and do bad thing because you promise you got money, you can do whatever you want.
What that guy does for those young boys? You know this guy?
Mbuyu.
Mr. Mbuyu.
Mr. Mbuyu.
What do you know about this person, Mbuyu? Maybe your own experience with him.
He had little street kids.
Mbuyu. We call him Mbuyu, sorry. He want to take like a 14 years old boy. He want to take him to his place. He was telling me, hey, don't try to call the police. If you call the police, I'll never walk with you anymore, you know? Like, I didn't say to take risk because he always like, when he do bad things, he just think he manipulate us, he give some money, like you don't say, he give us some small money. I know Jakub that he was really like he tried to teach me to change my belief about God and try to believe in satanic things, you know.
This guy was very crazy because he was intermingling with the guys also which involved in cases like they are like thugs, you know.
He was in a group of troublemakers. I mean, young men with no morals. He used to hang out with them. He'd sit with them in their groups.
He liked them very much. He was liking to walk with them.
He met with a lot of people here in Tanzania and he wanted to use them, pretending that he wants to help people. But unfortunately, he was doing the other mission behind the scene. Is a kind of person with having a very strong manipulation ideas to the people. He manipulates you to see the other person is bad and uses you.
Just like he was teaching us to hate each other without anything, you know? We have our job before to meet with them. We have a lot of things, but Jakub broke us. So he tried to scare a lot of my friends, but me, I'm not scared him. Yeah. Then I told him, no, you can't. That's why he started hating me. And early, he started, and he see me like I'm not his type because I don't believe it.
So I was get like people complaining from the chairman of the street where I was living there. He told me it's a medicine he puts on the road, and then when you come in morning, you see like more than 10, 20 dogs, they die. So I read in what kind of medicine he was give them.
At the beginning, when Jakobo arrived, he was introduced as someone coming to provide help to children, especially at the orphanage, and people expected that to happen. But all the aid sent by people from the Czech Republic never reached those it was meant for. We also have verified information that Jakobo did not behave well toward Tanzanian society. This led many people in the community to distance themselves from him. It was after they learnt that Jakobo was engaging in inappropriate behavior That's what we found, and that's what concerned us as leaders. When he saw that we were concerned, he realized the potential trouble he was in here in Tanzania, and he left in secret.
Do you think he should go to jail?
Yes, definitely.
My last point is, if Jacob can go to jail, it will not be good pain to him. I think that he should go to jail and he should do a very hard work to pay for what he was done.
Oh yeah, he was not punished because the end of time government that was sick him and he ran. And at the time when he ran away, he ran with the money for the kids.
Jakub just vanished. He left right before me. Someone picked him up in one of those rickshaws they had, and he was gone. He left Katka, the volunteer, there with us, and he took the card where the orphanage donations were being sent.
He had embezzled around 2 million Czech crowns over the 2 to 3 years he was active in Africa. That money went directly into his pocket. And that was just from the transparent account. Plus, as I said, who knows how much more people were sending directly to his personal account.
And when he escaped with money, as in Tatiana, me and Tatiana and Moses, we are going to search for him in the hotel there, several hotels. And at the end, we meet some sleepers in some hotels. And that waiter say, he left there in 5 minutes. He say he go to the airport. So he fly with the money of kids.
So this is the story of Jakub Jahl in Africa. And believe me, this still isn't everything.
During our 2-week investigation, we visited the places where Jahl had been. We walked around with his photo and asked about him literally everywhere we could. And we found out that there are far more people he harmed than we could possibly document in just 14 days. Let's ask ourselves a question. How many good people from the Czech Republic and Slovakia sent money in good faith, just wanting to help children? All it took was one psychopath. And he destroyed it all. He betrayed their trust, ruined the community, stole the money, and ruined lives. The lives of innocent children who saw hope in him from the very beginning. And then he just ran away. And today, he appears in the media as an expert, gives lectures on so-called dangerous cults, and has become the Czech face of an anti-cult extremist network. But Jahl isn't the exception. He is the prime example. All the activists in this international anti-cult network of Dworkin, with its extremist and terrorist-like ideology, from Jahl all the way to Dworkin himself, exhibit the same psychopathic traits: violence, spreading hatred, persecution, terror, and the destruction of lives through manipulation and power over others. And their hypocrisy is that they present themselves as fighters against sects and cults, claiming to protect society from threats. But do they have any respect for people's actual rights and freedoms? They claim to care about children, to be their defenders. But look at what they really do.
In Africa, Jahl was doing exactly what he's doing in the Czech Republic today. He just changed the scenery. A few years ago, it was the fight against poverty. Now it's the fight against cults. But the core of his actions remains the same, destroying human lives under feel-good slogans. Today, following the example of the Nazis, he compiles blacklists and spreads false accusations and hatred toward innocent people. And his tendencies toward Nazism were already on public display more than 10 years ago, when he burned the Israeli flag in a town square in front of a synagogue. That's why I compared him to Alexander Dworkin in the first documentary, because it was this very psychopath who unleashed a wave of persecution and attacks against numerous minority groups in Russia. It's because of him that basic human rights in Russia are being increasingly suppressed. Meanwhile, Dworkin is a man with documented psychiatric diagnoses.
And now, look at another face of Dworkin's totalitarian sect. In Ukraine, a very active follower of Dworkin is Irina Kremenovska, a woman who, in the past, tortured dogs and claimed that the suffering of dogs is a symphony for her ears. And then, think back to Joseph's testimony, describing how Jahl would poison dogs on the street.
So I was get a people complaining from the chairman of the street where I was living there. He told me it's a medicine he puts on the road. And then when you come in morning, you see like more than 10, 20 dogs, they die. So I read in what kind of medicine was give them.
So, as they say, birds of a feather flock together. That is why Jahl repeatedly references Kremenovska in his videos.
So we can clearly see here that all the activists in this network are exactly the same. And Jahl is obviously connected to them, rhetorically, organizationally, and ideologically. The same pattern we can find in the US, with people like Stephen Hassan and Rick Allen Ross, whom we also mentioned in the first documentary. Both were active in the anti-cult organization CAN, which went bankrupt after facing numerous lawsuits and court proceedings. While Hassan acted there as a consultant, Ross was a deprogrammer himself. A jury ordered Ross to pay over $3 million in damages to his victims. He was convicted of violating human rights, of violence, and of illegally interfering in people's private and family lives. And Jahl does the exact same thing. After our first documentary aired, we were contacted by many people whose family and romantic relationships were destroyed by Jahl. He manipulated their loved ones, called and texted them even in the middle of the night, and interfered in their personal lives. And I experienced this myself. I know all too well how perversely this lunatic can invade your privacy.
This is the true face of the entire anti-cult extremist network. Not protection, but the destruction of people. And it's far from just the ones they point their fingers at. Their influence destroys the psyche of everyone around them. Africa is a striking example. 4 years later, but everyone talks about it like it was yesterday. The whole city knows what Jakub Jahl did. And believe me, they haven't forgotten. Think about it. If you're a normal, psychologically healthy person, would you take pleasure in causing others to suffer? Would you commit these kinds of atrocities? Even animals don't do this. But those who hide behind anti-cult activities, while actually spreading the extremist and terrorist-like ideology of Alexander Dworkin, place this very behavior at the core of their work in order to achieve their goals. Fortunately, there's also something that has given us hope, and that's the fact that this network is now being discussed at a high level in the United States.
In May 2025, government and public officials gathered at a forum in Washington. With support from U.S. government circles, a clear demand was made to launch an international investigation into the anti-cult network, to prosecute its members, and to impose sanctions on all those who provide cover for this criminal activity, including experts and agents of influence within government structures. And we unequivocally support this call from Washington.
But what's the situation in Europe? We all remember the case of one prosecutor in Europe who stood up to defend the rights and freedoms of the people, who protected public safety and launched an investigation into this extremist network, including the predator we are talking about in this film. And what happened then? Within a few weeks, over 400 smear articles were published in the media. Articles with clear ideological ties to Dworkin's network. And the result? The general prosecutor of that same country, instead of upholding the law and democracy, shut down the entire investigation. He didn't side with the law. He sided with this network of maniacs. So, in effect, he enabled these sadists to continue their destructive activities freely, while punishing the one person who acted with integrity. And we see similar scenarios playing out in other countries. For instance, in Russia, the general prosecutor is initiating moves to label the Allatra organization as extremist. Or in Ukraine, where criminal prosecutions are being launched based on the fabricated reports of their agent, Kremenovska. And so I have to ask, what is motivating these prosecutors? Are they knowingly serving this network? Are they doing it out of fear? Or is someone blackmailing them? What's really going on here?
So, that's the truth about the network Jahl is a part of.
Any reasonable person stands on the side of children and the future. But people like Dworkin in Russia, Kremenovska and Sviatogor in Ukraine, Ross and Hassan in the USA, Jahl in the Czech Republic, and other activists of the anti-cult network bring pain and suffering to children. That is why such extremists cannot be tolerated by society. Because their ideology, known as anti-cultism, is every bit as destructive as Nazism and should therefore be banned worldwide. And that is why we fully support the demand made at the Washington Forum. Because as participants of ALLATRA, we are people who have always stood and will always stand on the side of truth, freedom, and democracy. Today, we see how rapidly the world around us is changing.
And as we already said today, although the story of Jakub Jahl in Africa is absolutely appalling, this documentary deserves a positive ending. And for me, that ending is a reminder of how important it is to never lose faith in people. Because even though there is so much evil and pain in the world, even though there are parasites who feed on the suffering of others, there are still people who bring humanity and care for others into this world. People who don't look for someone to blame, but look for solutions. People who don't wait for someone else to fix things, but they start with themselves. And it is precisely these people who today represent the greatest hope for the future of our civilization. Each of us has a choice to make, to stay silent or to speak up, to turn a blind eye to evil or to stand up against it, to destroy or to help. And we have made our choice. We stand on the side of truth, on the side of life, and we will never back down.